In this video, I'll show you how to convert the rear axle calipers on a Nissan Patrol to support a handbrake function using Ford Transit MK7 2006 to 2014 component. When using Nissan Patrol GQ or GU axles in another vehicle, a problem with the handbrake usually occurs. This is because in the Nissan Patrol, the handbrake is located on the transfer case and acts on the drive shaft. I have chosen rear calipers with an integrated handbrake from a Ford Transit MK7 front-wheel drive version. These calipers are compatible because they use brake discs with a thickness of 16 mm, 0.63 inches, matching the Nissan Patrol. Additionally, the piston diameter is 48 mm, 1.89 inches, which is also the same as the Nissan Patrol. Although the brake disc diameter differs, with the Transit at 280 mm, 11 inches, and the Patrol at 315 mm, 12.4 inches, I have accounted for this in the geometry of the Transit caliper's position relative to the Patrol disc. Either way, the Transit brake discs are solid while the Patrol discs are vented, but that makes no difference for us. To replace the caliper on the rear axle, we must also replace the bracket that holds the carrier. Therefore, we unscrew the caliper first, then the carrier. The bracket is bolted from the outside of the vehicle to the rear wheel bearing housing. So, to replace it, the axle shaft must be separated from this bearing housing. After removing the axle shaft from the housing, this is how it looks. The axles in the GU Patrol are 25 mm, 1 inch wider per side than the GQ Patrol axles. In the rear axle, this increased width was used to accommodate the ABS tone ring. Therefore, on a GU Patrol, we must first remove this ABS tone ring before we can remove the axle shaft. After removing the ABS tone ring, we unscrew the main rear hub nut. To do this, the lock washer must be bent back, and then a 56 mm, 2.2 inch wrench is used. I fabricated this wrench myself from a socket and a flat bar about 1 meter, 3.3 feet long. This bearing nut is tightened to 490 Newton meters, 361 foot-pounds, so the wrench needs to be substantial. To remove the rear wheel hub bearing, I fabricated a special puller myself. It should be noted that the right axle shaft in the Nissan Patrol rear axle is longer, so in the rear wheel hub bearing puller, longer bolts had to be used. I tested various ways of securing the rear wheel hub bearing puller while removing the axle shaft. And here is the list of tools I needed. From the top, the ABS tone ring puller, the main rear hub nut wrench, and the rear wheel hub bearing puller. Let's take a look at the Ford Transit MK7 calipers. Beyond the cable-driven handbrake, these MK7 calipers feature a cast iron body. They utilize an integrated self-adjusting mechanism made of stainless steel, so the handbrake lever travel remains consistent as the pads wear down. Also, the piston diameter of 48 mm, 1.89 inches, ensures that we maintain the hydraulic balance of the original Nissan system, as I said before. Let's now compare the brake calipers from the Transit and the Patrol. As we can see, the Transit caliper is wider due to the handbrake system. Additionally, the Transit piston features special machine notches for the brake pad pins, preventing it from rotating during operation and allowing the self-adjusting mechanism to function. Interestingly, the outer side of the caliper is not symmetrical, the lower part is thicker. This photo shows the left caliper. Comparison of the brake pads from the Transit and the Patrol calipers. The Transit pads are shorter but wider, so the contact area for both of these pads is similar. The Transit is one of the most popular vans, and its parts are easily available and inexpensive. This is a significant advantage of this conversion. I purchased used calipers and refurbished them. First, we unscrew the cable bracket and the cable lever. Next, we unscrew the piston from the case. It must be remembered that both calipers have different threads on their pistons. The left caliper has a left-hand thread, and the right caliper has a right-hand thread. To unscrew the piston, I used an angle grinder wrench. Here, we have both unscrewed pistons, one from the left caliper and the other from the right caliper. Disassembling the handbrake system is inconvenient. We need to pry up the retaining clip with a screwdriver and pull that clip out. Now, it is enough to lift the handbrake system out. On the other side of the case, we have three components. From the left, the handbrake lever shaft O-ring, the lever washer, and the external seal. After cleaning and galvanizing all the external components of the caliper, we proceed with the assembly. Usually instructions state that assembly should simply be performed in the reverse order of disassembly. This is true, but usually putting it back together is not that simple. That was exactly the situation in this case. To install the retaining clip on the self-adjusting mechanism inside the caliper case, this strong spring must be compressed. For this purpose, I used a standard pipe with an outer diameter of 27 mm, 1.06 inches, and an inner diameter of 22 mm, 0.87 inches. After inserting the self-adjusting mechanism into the caliper case, this pipe must be pressed down by a flat bar. This flat bar should be supported against the external lugs of the case. I should add that for this pipe to work properly, its total length together with the flat bar should be 98 mm, 3.86 inches. Only now, in this configuration, do we have the opportunity to reinstall the retaining clip back into its place. After installing the self-adjusting mechanism, we screw in the piston. It must be remembered that the left caliper has a left-hand thread, and the right caliper has a right-hand thread. When installing the piston seal, a screwdriver is used to assist with the seating process. This is approximately how the machine notches for the brake pad pins should be positioned relative to the brake caliper housing. Here is the adapter assembly that I have prepared for this conversion. There are two main components for each side, made from 10 mm, 0.4 inches. Steel plate, which hold the brake caliper in the correct position relative to the brake disc. Additionally, there is a brake disc shield made from 2 mm, 0.08 inches, steel plate, along with brackets for the brake lines. The brake lines from the front brakes of a Nissan Patrol fit this setup. After some time, I decided to remove the brake disc shield, as it becomes problematic when a stone gets caught between the shield and the brake disc. And here are the technical drawings of these adapters which I have designed. First, we install the first main adapter component onto the bearing hub. Next, we press in the axle shaft and bolt the entire assembly to the rear axle housing. The brake line bracket extension. The second adapter component. Between both of these components, one standard spacer washer is required for each bolt. The brake disc shield. We install the brake caliper carrier and the brake pads. And here are some of the assembly details. Here is a comparison of the Ford Transit caliper mounted on the Nissan Patrol axle. In this photo, we can see the wheel installed with a 16 inches rim. As I observed, the clearance between the transit caliper and the rim is similar to the distance between the Patrol caliper and the rim. To summarize, to have a handbrake on the Nissan Patrol rear axle, we need to install rear calipers from a Ford Transit MK7 front-wheel drive version, and a proper adapter must be fabricated. To replace the caliper carrier bracket with this custom adapter, we must remove the axle shaft to access the rear wheel hub bearing flange. For this task, I had to prepare the appropriate tools. In the next video, I will describe how to mate the Magnum V8 engine to the Nissan Patrol gearbox, and when this conversion actually makes sense.